introduction, there has been a lot of talk about the metaverse in recent years, with tech companies, gurus, and business owners all speaking about the limitless power it can give. It's supposed to revolutionize the internet, and that breeds quite a lot of excitement and worry from certain people and groups. With Facebook recently rebranding itself into the company Meta, and redefining their commitment to building the metaverse soon, the word is on people's lips more than ever. However, the metaverse is an area that is surrounded in confusion as well. What is it? Who owns it? What can you do with it? These are all questions that people are asking, and asking in much louder voices given the recent news. Thankfully, this ebook will help you out, as we are going to lay out step by step what the metaverse is and why exactly you should care about it. We want to make sure that you are armed with the answers to these hard-to-answer questions and that our book can cut through the misinformation about the complexities of the metaverse. So read on, and by the end of this book, you'll wonder what there was to be confused about in the first place. Click here to learn more how to get rich with Bitcoin even if you have no clue about technology. Part 1. What is the metaverse? Chapter 1. Understanding the metaverse. The desire and ability to go into a video game, virtual world, or even into the internet itself hasn't been anything new. From Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet to Ready Player One, we've seen this trope in countless fiction mediums. The idea that the internet is a virtual world in and of itself, one where people can encounter one another, make interactions with themselves and the world, and even affect the real world with their choices in the digital one. If you think of it like a massively expanded virtual world, where players don't just control avatars on a screen with a mouse and keyboard, then you've got the right idea. Instead, the person accessing the metaverse is their avatar, and they can move around, speak, and travel the virtual world as easily as they can in the real world. It will also connect the virtual world and the real world to make the pair closer than ever before. For example, have you ever seen in science fiction where a character might wear goggles that give them a heads-up display of their surroundings? They can look at people and instantly gain access to public information about them, or do the same with buildings or items. With the metaverse, we might have that technology too. The metaverse might seem a little confusing, but with a little bit of open-mindedness and understanding, you'll know just what this place is, so let's start with a simple definition, shall we? Definition. The definition that most people can agree on is this one. The metaverse is a set of virtual spaces where you can create and explore with other people who aren't in the same physical space as you. Think of it like a video game MMO world. In games like Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft, players from all over the world log into servers. Their avatars are visible in-game, and they can interact with one another, participate in events, and even drive the game's economy. The metaverse is going to be like that, only instead of going into a video game world, you would be logging into a world similar to our own. The metaverse will be like one huge shopping mall, where you can log into different servers that are all owned by different companies. Imagine logging into Amazon's virtual world and ordering all your packages with simple gestures. You won't need to take out your phone, but instead put on a headset. Additionally, the metaverse will be able to support your avatars. Whether you want to buy real-life items to put in your virtual room, or just have an avatar that reacts to your movements and body language, your virtual manifestation of your avatar will be just as important to the metaverse as the worlds you inhabit. Persistence. Finally, the last major definition is the word persistence. Persistence in the metaverse refers to the continuity and sense of presence that you will feel in the virtual world. There will be several ways to connect to and experience the metaverse, from your phone, PC, iPad, or VR headset, and the creators of the metaverse want to make sure that you feel like you and your avatar matter in both of them. Persistence gives connections between the various worlds of the metaverse and is primarily experienced by avatars. For example, let's say your avatar gets a new pair of glasses from a VR shop in the virtual world. Then you hop off the virtual world and get into the metaverse on your phone. Your avatar will have the same glasses on, and no matter how you access the metaverse, the glasses will remain on. This persistence of a cosmetic item is an example of how persistence as a whole will work in the metaverse. Basically, if your avatar buys something, makes a change to their look, or makes a change to their own personal world, those changes will show up no matter how you access the metaverse. Implementation. Well, this all sounds well and cool, but how will it be implemented into the everyday consumer's life? Much like how you need to buy a VR headset from a certain company to experience certain games and features, you will probably need to buy a headset or a system from the companies that will be getting into the metaverse, including one from the company Facebook has created, appropriately called Meta. Otherwise, it should be like any other online activity. You will need to create an account, customize an avatar, and then you can explore the worlds of your choosing. The theory goes that the metaverse should be quite unlimited, so once you get logged in you won't have too many limits on where you can go. Required technology. Despite there being quite a lot of advances in the realm of virtual reality with the rise of headsets, VR gaming, and avatar creations, the technology to create a 100% immersive world in digital just doesn't exist yet. The technology that we have access to for virtual reality is merely the lightest scratch on the surface of what everyone hopes the metaverse might become one day. Mark Zuckerberg has said that he hopes the technology will come out in 5 to 10 years, while Meta has given their estimate at around 10 to 15 years. Meta is already placing technological advancements in the pipeline that will help them get to where the metaverse as we understand it is possible, but that's still a long way away. Who knows what type of technology might be required to create this world, or what type of people are aiming to create it. It's certainly something that will be worth watching, especially if you have any interest in the technological field of study. Chapter 2, The Metaverse Today. Since we've been comparing the metaverse to video games, that's a good place to start this chapter by saying that virtual reality gaming is the best way to give us a peek into what the metaverse is going to look like. Video games and VR have always been the pavers and the movers towards the combination of digital and physical worlds. But there are other items too that will help us get a better understanding of, and make predictions towards, what the metaverse of several years into the future would look like. Video games. Most MMO video games such as Fortnite, Final Fantasy, Roblox, and World of Warcraft are all examples of the mini-metaverses. They are persistent games where a player controls an avatar and makes them do certain things, and every player can connect and talk to every other player. Players can socialize, join clubs or guilds, attend events, and make in-game payments using in-game currency. Additionally, several games allow you to fully customize your character. You can design a completely different character than yourself, make a non-humanoid design, or create a character that looks completely like you. The metaverse is going to be populated with a similar cast of characters, as while many people might want to create wacky avatars that push the limits, most people will want an avatar that looks like them. The metaverse might also hold events that can bring thousands or millions of players all to one spot or world, something MMO games are known for. This helps to foster a sense of community for the gamers who play, as well as gives them something to look forward to. Certain worlds in the metaverse might host similar events or sales to bring people together. But while MMOs are a great sneak peek into the world that the metaverse hopes to create, there's something even more tangible on the horizon, and that is virtual reality gaming. Virtual reality. Before we delve into the metaverse uses for VR, let's focus on the gaming side of things. Virtual reality gaming allows for a much greater level of immersion that we have seen so far in gaming, as we are able to actually move our bodies with our character and in essence see what they see. If our character swings a sword, holds a blaster, or throws a bomb, we are making a similar movement with our bodies. It can also be very interesting to see nothing but the virtual land around you. For example, traditional gaming simply has your eyes glued to what is in front of you, but with a virtual reality headset, you can turn around and get a complete 360 view of what the world you are playing in looks like. If you want to be reminded that the world isn't real, then you need to take the headset off. Virtual reality is the metaverse in its pre-walking infancy. It allows us to connect with our friends in the virtual world, and also transforms our dull living rooms and offices into places straight out of fantasy and science fiction. We are able to move, interact, and play within the confines of the room we are in and the game we are playing. The metaverse will have no limits. You won't be loading up just one game into your headset and playing only that game, but instead you will have access to every single world and the ability to do whatever you want in each. You can log into a Zoom call from your headset but feel like you are sitting in your office. You can go into Amazon's world and purchase whatever you would like, or you can walk to a virtual park and sit down to watch the world go by. It will be virtual reality on steroids, and it will open up a lot of doors for people. Crypto. If you've ever played an MMO or even a single-player video game, you have probably noticed that you don't pay for things with dollars and cents. Whether you are buying the newest sword for your character or a new shirt for your avatar in the shop, you are paying in gold, or bottle caps, or something made up specifically for that game's world. Sure, you can buy the equivalent of the in-game currency with real money, but you are making your payments in the in-game currency. In the metaverse, while buying things with dollars and cents is a real thing that you will be able to do, you also might be paying for more with cryptocurrency than you might think. Crypto coins are going to be the virtual currency of the metaverse, and you might be able to exchange your dollars and cents for them. Since the metaverse is going to be the next large step when it comes to the advent of technology, a lot of businesses are already getting in on the ground floor of it. Even more will be getting into it when it is a proven business model, and that's when more and more cryptocurrencies are going to pop up as a way to pay for the services rendered in the virtual world. Thankfully, crypto exists today, and it's fairly easy to understand what it is about if you are willing to do some research. It is a form of money that you can't hold or see, but you can spend it at several stores that will take coins. With the metaverse, the number of vendors that will accept bitcoins and other forms of currency is no doubt going to rise. Chapter 3, Criticisms and Concerns. Of course, with every new change in the advent of technology, there are a lot of people who have some serious misgivings and questions about the metaverse. Even though the idea of the metaverse and the technology that would make it possible are still in their infancy, the criticisms and concerns raised by people are not. And they will only get more pronounced with time. In order to make the metaverse simple, we need to analyze these as well. Privacy. One of the biggest concerns with the metaverse is user privacy. We see data get released from social media sites all the time, and Facebook has had 2 data breaches where the personal data of their customers was shared all over. With Meta running the show, a lot of people are raising questions about just how private their actions on the metaverse are, or if everything they leave there can be leaked. With the metaverse, a lot of personal information is going to be placed online for all to see. You'll even need webcams and sensors to analyze your face and your voice to create an online avatar that looks and sounds like you as closely as possible. Additionally, people will be using the metaverse to shop, attend work, read emails, and connect with friends. There's a growing after all. Why would you try to go back to a life that isn't as exciting as the world inside the real world? Nearly everyone involved in the metaverse has made repeated claims and wants to stress that the metaverse is not real. At the end of the day, it is a fictional world that attempts to connect to our real one, not go about replacing it. Still, that's potentially a line that people who are very addicted to screens and want to scope out an escape aren't going to be able to see. The internet tends to have both a positive and negative effect on the mental health of the users, and the metaverse could easily exacerbate the impact the internet has on our brains, as well as the disturbing rise of screen addiction. User safety. The internet can be nasty, and aside from a few calmer niches, you really can't scroll past anything without seeing someone yelling at one another. Whether it's political beliefs, social issues, differences of opinions, or celebrity drama, the internet has tons of new ways to make us feel like victims where the entire world is against us. But while we've seen new ways to cyberbully, harass, and demean people on the internet, what we haven't seen is an effective way to make the internet safe for everyone. Moderators, website owners, and level-headed people among us can do their best to ensure that those who cause the most trouble are kicked out or prevented from seriously harming someone, but that really amounts to a slap on the wrist at best. Being personally attacked on the internet for a belief you hold can hurt, but at the end of the day you can remove the offending comments and walk away. However, in the metaverse you might have dozens of avatars screaming at you and shaming you into leaving or changing your belief system. The world that you have in the metaverse suddenly won't feel as safe as it once did, and that can be a real problem for people. Since we don't have safety measures in place for monitoring everything, preventing smaller issues from growing out of control, and also for punishing the people who are spitting hate effectively, this raises some concerns about how all people are going to feel safe and secure on the metaverse. Finally, while governments are welcome in the metaverse, they aren't in charge. Instead, Mark Zuckerberg and his team are. If the mudslinging gets really bad, there's not a lot of faith that a team of CEOs can handle it for some people, and they would rather have law enforcement or a government entity take on people who are actively being toxic and spreading hate. Even though the metaverse is in its infancy, this is still a very important topic to discuss because everyone should feel safe on the platform, and sometimes the internet is anything but safe. Social issues. The metaverse could be a massive springboard for social issues, but it could also lead to homogeneous groups creating worlds all their own, where they are free to express views that aren't the safest for certain ethnic groups, religions, or other types of people. Additionally, people also see the metaverse as a great way for social issues to be broadcast to the world. Instead of taking to Twitter or another online media platform to connect, people who have the same opinions about various issues will be able to display it right on their profile. Then meetups could happen directly inside the metaverse on designated worlds or areas, allowing people who want to raise awareness or protest the ability to meet one another without the hassle of actually driving to meet one another. This could connect various worldwide organizations and groups all under one banner, and allow for them to do far more than they could alone. While the metaverse will allow different groups to find themselves and connect to share mutual interests and bring about social change, the type of people who might find themselves inside the metaverse could have a further issue awaiting them, the issue of wealth. How much will the metaverse cost? With a VR headset running anywhere between $300 to $400, the bar to get into VR can be a little high for some families, and the metaverse could be even more expensive. Even though Meta has stated that they want to sell the electronics at cost and ensure that the metaverse remains a valid option for everyone to get into, some people just might not have the money needed to make and maintain their connection to the metaverse. If only the very wealthy can get into the metaverse, then what will that allow everyone else to do? Especially if the metaverse is owned and run by companies and billionaires that are seeking to make a profit off of what everyone is purchasing. This could be a very large use of money for most people, and for those who can't afford to get into the metaverse, it would be a large opportunity that they end up missing until they can afford the extra cost. Populates them with Pokemon that you can catch and interact with. Filters and other items that put digital objects on you are also the same. In augmented reality, you can see all the real world and aren't isolated from the people around you. You can look away from the screen, close the application, close the filter, and then get back into the real world and the people around you. Virtual reality is the typical headset where you are fully immersed in a digital environment, and you can get a 360-degree view of the world around you. This is typically done for gaming, and it is one of the core components of the metaverse. The entire purpose of a VR system is to fool the user's brain into thinking that they are someplace else, and the metaverse is going to do the same thing. Virtual reality is being adopted into all sorts of industries to help train people in different jobs before letting them go into the real world. VR is relatively new, but there's no doubt that the world is going to grow around it and the technology is going to improve. Mixed realities finally. Another core component of what the metaverse will be is mixed reality. In mixed realities, digital and real-world items and objects will be able to interact with one another and form a hybrid reality. Mixed realities work with headsets, and they allow you to place objects from the digital world in the physical world and then have the ability to interact with it. Mixed reality is a younger technology, but it is used in various technologies and businesses. For example, some furniture outlets let you use your phone to place objects inside of your home. Some clothing companies will allow you to virtually try on clothes or glasses before making the purchase, and you can do all this from the comfort of your home. Artificial intelligence bridging the gap between our world and the virtual world is going to take a lot of brainpower, but for everything human inventors and programmers need to do to make the metaverse real, the load will also need to be shouldered by the artificial intelligence that makes up the metaverse as well. One of the first issues that will be solved by artificial intelligence is the facial recognition software. In order to make sure that your avatars are like you, and that any other non-human avatars that you meet are as realistic as possible, you need technology. Facial and voice recognition software are going to need to be used to ensure that your avatar is what you need. If other digital humans exist in the world, then they will be built. The medical industry is also using VR technology to train surgeons on complicated medical procedures, and even to perform operations with surgeons who are far away from their patient. If a patient needs open heart surgery in New York and the most qualified doctor is 5 states away, the doctor can use VR to make the surgery, with his actions being mirrored by medical robots that are on site. How things are built and tested finally, since the metaverse is going to be extremely realistic, it allows manufacturers and companies to test new concepts without the risk of wasting hardware or harming people with faulty technology. They can build and test everything they need, or make plans, and once everything is confirmed in the metaverse, then the item can be built in the real world. Nearly everything about how we work will either change if not be completely overhauled by the introduction of the metaverse, and it will be very interesting to see what opportunities arise. Personal lives. You probably remember how the world changed with the introduction of the smartphone, and then with the introduction of VR. Well, the metaverse will add another change to how people spend free time. You will be able to climb mountains, swim in lakes, walk cities all around the world, and talk to people from everywhere, and you will be able to feel like you are there. The metaverse doesn't just want you to see the world that you are walking in, but it wants to engage your other senses as well. You will be able to smell, hear, touch and even taste the items you want to interact with. You'll need smart clothing, a haptic bodysuit, and a headset, but there's no limit to how real the world of the metaverse can feel. Additionally, you could even take on different forms. Remember pretending to be a monkey in the backyard when you were a kid, and the backyard was a large jungle in your imagination? Well, in the metaverse you can take on the form of a monkey and swing through the treetops. Or you could play virtual sports not as yourself, but as your favorite sports star. Talking and learning, you could meet up with long-lost friends, communicate with experts, and even learn from the greats in the metaverse. It wouldn't just be about physical experiences, but you could learn a lot from the mental side of things too. From going to great libraries, to attending classes, to joining events in the metaverse about your favorite topic, you could learn whatever you wanted. Also, imagine finding the avatar of someone you never thought you would ever see again in the metaverse. Wouldn't that be great? Because even if you and your friend are halfway around the world from one another physically, the metaverse would allow you to connect as easily as if you were neighbors. Part 3. How to use the metaverse. Once the metaverse comes into being, then how exactly would you use it? Once you bought all the tech, signed up for all the accounts, and figured out what exactly you want the metaverse to do for you, then how exactly would you use the metaverse for yourself? This part of the book is going to let you know about some of the opportunities that the metaverse is going to give you when it comes to advances in your personal life, as well as some of the best ways to ensure that you make the most out of your access inside this advancement of technology. Even dating will be heavily enhanced in the metaverse, where you can find your soulmate and take them anywhere to get to know them. Instead of the standard first dates and awkward pickup lines, you can instead take the object of your affections to walk along the beach or have a quiet conversation in an intimate cafe. It will allow you to get to know the real person and not just what they are telling you about themselves through a screen. Additionally, if you've got something that you want to share with an audience of people, you will easily find your platform in the metaverse, and can become a teacher for people as well. This could be a second wave, just like social media was, and if you can get into it early, you will be able to build a large following and build a business. Finally, you will be able to unwind from personal troubles and just unwind in the metaverse. Whether you want to sit on the beach and relax, curl up with a book in a rainy cabin, or relax with a loved one beside a fire, you will be able to get away from the real world a bit. That's what the majority of the people are probably going to use the metaverse for, just like how most people use video games or social media to get some stress relief and escape from the rough problems of the world. Technology required. If you want to experience the full experience that the metaverse has to offer, you will need some of the above-mentioned pieces of technology. While the things you need aren't set in stone just yet, you will need haptic suits, headsets, an internet connection, and probably some accounts for the various areas of the metaverse you want to get into. Game where you buy an asset and it remains in the game and can't be taken away. With NFTs you own it. You can buy a hat from an in-video game store and then place that hat on your avatar in your Instagram feed. You might even be able to buy and own your own piece of the metaverse as well, kinda like how you can buy player homes in video games that belong to your character. Since NFTs look like the backbone of the metaverse, making an investment in the token could be very lucrative down the line. Virtual estates. Speaking of owning land in the metaverse, there is already a virtual real estate boom in the 4 predetermined lands that will exist in the metaverse. These lands are Decentraland, The Sandbox, Crypto Voxels, and Somnium Space. All of these places are like large plots of land where you can do whatever you want. Think about the video game Minecraft at the start. All you have are some basic tools and an empty world where you can do whatever you want. Well, these virtual real estate plots are like plots of land where consumers and companies can build whatever they would like. The idea of investing into virtual estates, especially this early in the metaverse, can be either a risk or an opportunity. That does depend on what you think though, and it might be a good investment to consider. After all, it might pay off very handsomely in the long run. Click here to learn more how to get rich with Bitcoin even if you have no clue about technology. The idea of investing into virtual estates, especially this early in the metaverse, can be either a risk or an opportunity. That does depend on what you think though, and it might be a good investment to consider. After all, it might pay off very handsomely in the long run. Click here to learn more how to get rich with Bitcoin even if you have no clue about technology. Conclusion: the metaverse is a very exciting and sometimes confusing area of the world that is going to come no matter what. Hopefully this book has made the idea of the metaverse a little less confusing and much more applicable to you. While you might not invest in it right away or prepare for its arrival, at least you know the possibilities that this new way of accessing the internet can give you. The metaverse probably isn't going to be here for at least a few decades, even with all the technological advances in the world that might happen. Still, no one can deny that it is coming, and we are certainly seeing the birth of the metaverse in VR systems and other areas of life. It's going to be very interesting, even if you don't care about the metaverse and want to simply use it as a casual user. we can't deny that once it comes everything is going to change. From our work lives, to how we learn, to how we gather and communicate about what is important to us, the metaverse is going to be a massive change in our world. Whether you want to play in the metaverse, work in the metaverse, or be even one of the people who helps to make the metaverse a reality, we hope this book has given you some direction about how to get started. Now the hardest part is going to be waiting for the metaverse to arrive. Click here to learn more how to get rich with Bitcoin even if you have no clue about technology. 3 audiobook collections, 6 book collections.